Good evening. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. Thank you for joining us. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, a very special thank you. CWS is about having conversations with people about their journey and how they are using their gifts and talents to help others. I believe that we are never more connected than when we share our stories, because it's those stories that tell us that if we fail, we are not alone. If we succeed, our success are like beacons of light that reminds others that they too can, that serve as a guide, so to speak, for someone who is now struggling to make that first step or to take the next step. Tonight, you're going to meet a woman from my region of the world, French Guyana. Her name is Alizé. Okay, Alizé. Right. And she has a magazine that somehow speaks the same language. So I'll take a short break, and when I return, I'll introduce you to Alizé. We are back. For those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. The lovely lady next to me is Alizé Utteryn. Is that?
Yes,
that?
correct.
Okay, I got that. Alizé Utteryn, founder of Alizé La Vie Corporate, including Alizé La Vie magazine,
Okay.
editor-in-chief and journalist,
Yes.
was born in Cayenne, French Guyana, South America, and raised in Paris. Alizé is a graduate of Institute Superior of Human Resources, ISGP, in Paris, with a Master of Sciences degree in Human Resources Management. Alizé, if you were not a publisher of a magazine, an artist, or an international dancer, what would you be doing?
I don't. I think. I think I'm just at the right place where I have to be. I don't see myself doing anything else. So I don't think I could be. Or maybe at the beginning, I remember when I was younger, I wanted to become a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but finally, I was more interested in any artistic activities.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And you were born in Cayenne, French
Yes.
Guyana, and raised in Paris.
Exactly.
What age did you leave Cayenne, and what do you remember about your childhood prior to leaving?
Not that much, because when I was born, my mother just left 10 days after. So, and after that, I was raised in Paris, and I went back home. I was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I stayed maybe around 4 years in French Guiana.
Uh-huh.
So, but so far, I remember, it was more about my family, the weather, and just and the food.
The food.
Compared to Paris, it's completely different. It's another world. So,
When you went back
mhm.
for those 4 years, what do you remember distinctly about that experience?
Actually, it wasn't such a good experience, because, when you are raised in another country and you come back home like that, I mean, especially children, they are not so nice with you. And I felt we are different, because I went back with my sister and brothers. And it was kind of hard to adjust,
Mhm.
because the culture, the lifestyle is completely different.
Mhm.
And it has been a very difficult time for me, and because they were just considering like we are not French Guyanese, more like Parisian
Mhm.
from France, which is not ridiculous, but French people are the same like people from French Guiana, but of course it's more about the culture. But we belong to France. And when I came back home, I actually felt the differences. So, and actually, I wanted to go back to Paris. So
Right away.
yeah, right away.
I would like you to give us a glimpse into your early upbringing, or early to mid upbringing. What was life like for you at around the age of 16, and who do you remember becoming at 21?
16 years old. So at the time I was in Paris, and I think I was in high school, and I was my grandparents, and that was a good time, So I have a good memories,
Uh-huh.
So the age of freedom, so you don't listen to your parents, and you think like they are so annoying, but it was I was a a good child, so
Uh-huh.
I don't have very bad memories about that because my parents were very open-minded, and I was a good student as well. But what I truly remember, it was about my studies, my teacher. I truly have a good relationship. And when I grew up, when I turned
21.
21 years old, I was gone. I mean, I was already in living with my sister in an apartment because my parents went back home at this time, and that was more difficult because we're trying to be with that mommy and daddies and being taking care of ourselves.
Mhm.
So it was like the breakup between the family ties and us as because I was living with my sisters like a grown woman.
What is your fondest memory, or one of your fondest memories of your parents as a child?
My fondest memories. I think about my father. My father was very good father,
Mhm.
always taking care of us, especially me. I was like a princess, so I couldn't do. He didn't want me to do anything, just studying. So mommy was always mad at at him saying like I should not have so much privilege, but my father was more like she needs to not to do anything so that she can be focused on her studies. So my father was just a sweetheart. So this is my best memory, especially at this time.
Three periods of your life: a child, teenager, and a woman. Who would you say have had the greatest impact on you during those different periods?
Woman, because I mean younger I was protected with my because of my parents with their love very careful, and from the time I left my parents' house, I have to become a woman in terms of being in charge of myself, and sometimes it was hard because um, I have to make a lot of sacrifice at some point because I remember when my parents starting having some financial problems,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to take care of myself and my sister and brothers too. So meaning at some point I have to stop going to school, go to work and to make some money. And it was kind of hard because it wasn't just for me. I was working for my brothers and sisters as well. So this kind of experience, makes you stronger
Mm-hmm.
and make you realize like it's not so easy. Even though you can have like the most beautiful parents, but at some point if they can keep it up, you still have to try to take care of yourself and sometimes of themselves as well.
You mentioned your dad and how he treated you like a little princess,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes your mom objecting to it. If you were to eavesdrop a conversation, right, where the two of them were telling a stranger about you, what do you think either of them would, how you think they would describe you?
My mother, she would describe me like very hardworking girl, and who knows exactly what she wants, and always there for others, always taking care of her brothers and sisters, and very responsible at an early age.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And your dad?
My dad would say more. My dad was more impressed about my result at school, so if he were there, he would have said more like my abilities to be a good student and always be good at what I've been doing. Yes.
When you returned to Paris this after from Cayenne, what did you miss most about Cayenne? at that time?
The weather.
The weather.
Oh
I
yes,
say.
yes. The weather and the family as well, because when you live in Europe, it's not the same lifestyle, especially like you don't have the same meaning of values. So in Caribbean island, I think people, they are more friendly. I mean, if you need something, even something to eat, if you don't have any food at home, you can still find any members of family. You can go to see them. So, but when you are in Europe, it's different. So it's a big city, especially in Paris. It's a big city. You don't have the same kind of relationship with people. So if you are in trouble, you might stay in trouble. And it's easier when you live, in for example, French Guiana, you can find easily someone who's going to help you, give you a hand, to just to help you, to assist you.
Was that a culture shock for you?
Kind of, yes.
Yeah.
Kind of, yes.
Alizé,
Yes.
3 Guyanas, 3 former colonies,
Yes.
Cayenne, Suriname, and Guyana. You visited Guyana, the British Guyana.
Yes, Suriname as well.
Yeah, and Suriname.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because what I would like to know from you, what are some of the similarities you noticed among the 3 Guyanas that stuck with you?
I would say the food.
Food.
Oh, yes, the food is very similar. Some people are the same. I will say, of course, I know in Guyana you have different races, and it's very multicultural. But in French Guiana as well, so we have a lot of Brazilian people, Creole, Bushilangi is more African people,
Right.
and it's very mixed, So and I found the same in Guyana, Suriname as well, because you have a lot of Indian people, and yes, I mean, I will say more about the food, the lifestyle. Yes, the same lifestyle. It's kind of very slow. People, they take their time, So, but I think it's typically from Caribbean islands. So, no matter it's the English part or French one, is the same, I think. And of course, the difference is the language. But at the end of the day, we are still the same.
Still the same.
Honestly, after visiting 3 of them, I mean, of course, French Guiana where I was born, but Suriname and Guyana, it's kind of similar. It's just like, the economy is different, because, French Guiana is more like, under, the French government, so you can see it's more developed.
Right.
So, and that will be the big difference. But beyond of that, I think, so we are very similar.
Very similar. I want to come up your timeline a little bit to 2009 when you came to United States. What was the trigger that motivated you to come to live your dream? Your American dream.
Before I came to the US, I was in Czech Republic for 2 years.
You were where?
Czech Republic.
Oh, Czech, really?
Yes, for 2 years I was working there. My job sent me there to train people to the French payroll. I was training people to the French payroll. And after that, I really enjoyed this experience. And it was funny because when I came there, I was the only black. So it's kind of very, it was a cultural shock as well. But people actually found people very friendly. And they were seeing me like more exotic because they are not accustomed to see, black people like that, especially where I come from. And I really enjoyed this experience, not only humanly, but professionally as well, because people, they wanted to learn and they were just, very nice and very motivated as well. And from that, I was supposed to go back to Paris, and America was always in my mind for many years because I came maybe when I was younger. I came here on vacation, and I said to myself, one day I will come back to this country and I will work. I will do a lot of things here. And once I finished my job in Czech Republic, I was like, okay, that's the time for me at least to try and to make it happen, because I was unmarried, no children, so I was like, that's the time for me to make this decision and to go for it. And I just went. Yes, and I have to begin from scratch.
You had to begin from scratch.
Yes.
After 5 years, is the description, well, this American dream that you spoke of before you got here, how did you describe, how did you define it before you got here?
Before I got here,
What was?
I was more like, I think it's like for everyone, especially America. I was always been like the dream, like, when you see on the TV, you always see like the big scene. Like I see, for example, New York. I was always impressed by Times Square, and you see, oh, when you think about that, you say, oh wow, I'm gonna come to this country, and so it's so big, so and you think about so many great things, but I can say when you get there, it's totally different.
So after 5 years, is the description the same, or have you calibrated a little?
No, I have to make some adjustments. Of course, I mean, I truly think, American dream is still alive and is still possible. I think I'm a proof of that. But at the same time, I want people to understand it's not so easy, because when you think about America, you might think about like so much great things, But once you truly get into, I mean, American lifestyle. I mean, for me, that was the best school, because that was the school of life, where I got my biggest challenge, the worst experience as well, in terms of like, it was hard, and it's still hard.
Yeah.
America is a very nice country. I truly think like it's a very welcoming country for anyone, but it's very hard. You have to fight for what you want to do. You have to be very motivated, because sometimes it's so hard and you might want to give up. And that's the way I think for me. I mean, I truly learned from my experience here, and it has been the hardest life I've never had in my life, being in America.
What surprised you most about America when you first came?
But especially when you come to this country, so of course it's a difference of culture. So European people and American people are completely different. The way we've been raised, and of course the language. Of course I'm French, so my accent is very strong. So when I came here, it was kind of difficult to understand, because even though I have been learning English for many years, but it's not the same when you are truly living in the country. So your accent, I mean, you can feel your accent here, because people they are not so much accustomed to our accent, and you have to make some effort to let people to understand you. So that was when I came here, that was one of my biggest issue, in terms of I could not understand people, and I hated that, because I'm a good speaker, especially in my first language, so, and coming here, it's like, I felt like people, I was kind of stupid, because, every time I was speaking, I was like, oh, what did you say? What did you say? I'm like, so it was kind of annoying, but, I have to, even for that, I have to work on that. When I went back to school, having like intensive classes, and read a lot, and spending time watching TV a lot, to be accustomed to the accent, because when especially in Europe, most of people, especially the teacher, sometimes they are French like me, so the accent, and the way they speak is going to be very understandable. But once you come here, it's completely different, because people, they have different accents, and I have to work on that, and it took me some time. And after that, everything is completely different, so the way our people they live, so I've never have to share my apartment when I was in France. When I came here, I have to get into the system, like, as life is so expensive here, and to share an apartment with people, so that was kind of very not difficult, but to make some adjustment, because you need to understand I came from a very top level, and coming to the US, it's like I have to begin from scratch, like I was a student. So sometimes it was emotionally very hard, because like you find yourself with young people, going back to school, so not making that much money like you used to. So, but as I made the sacrifice, and I said to myself, if I come to this country, I can be less than I was before. So no matter what, I will have to work hard, no complain, even if it's hard, but just keep it up and be focused. And this is what I did. For 2 years, I've been working very hard, going to school every weekend from Friday to Sunday, and working at least 60 hours a week, giving some French lessons to a wealthy family. So it was kind of hard, I can say.
I have a two-part questions for you
Mm-hmm.
because I'm curious.
Yes.
This determination I'm detecting, right? This passion for success. Where did that come from? And the second part is, what did this experience teach you about yourself?
Um, I will say, like, first of all this experience, make me maybe understand, like, by failing, I become even more successful. Meaning, the more I fail, because here I failed so much. Something I wasn't accustomed because I was always good at what I was doing before, and failure wasn't in my vocabulary. So here I have to be like, okay, so I fell down, and again and again, over and over, and I was like, no, I don't want to give up, and especially because for me it was very important as I make the decision to come here, not to fail.
Mhm.
So for me, no matter what, I have to be successful. So that was my biggest challenge. But for me, there was no way for me not to be successful. So that's a way for me. All my passion, my desire to be successful came from all my failure in this country, because that made me so strong, and make me believe, like, I can do better than this. And even though I come from another country, a small country, when I say small country, more French Guiana than Europe, because Paris, everyone knows about Paris, but that really felt like more French Guyanese than Parisian. And I was like, I have to be determined to be successful and to be an example, for my brothers and sisters, even for others, and just show, like, when you believe in yourself and you put everything in your hands to make it happen,
Mhm.
everything is possible.
Is that why you said failures are my biggest?
Definitely.
Well, it's interesting that you said that. I have a question further down for you, but I believe in following the flow, and I'm going to read some comments that some people have made about you,
Yes.
and I think this is an appropriate time to mention it. Someone said, "I saw in her the desire to succeed, and that motivated me to pursue my dreams." Another said, "Her determination, her fighting spirit, her open mind. This is a French Guyanese walking worldwide with the greatest humility." And yet another said, "Alizé faces new challenges with a pure honesty. Her concept is simply brilliant. Her passion is limitless." Now, as I read those compliments, what were you present to?
Can you repeat?
As I read those compliments,
Mhm.
what was going through your mind? What were you present to?
Actually, it's funny because this comment come from my contributor, and someone from outside asked them to tell exactly what they think about me, and that was a kind of surprise because I did not even know exactly what they thought about me. And when I found out about that, I was very touched because, everything they said about me, and I'm very genuine and I'm very true to myself. So I actually found exactly myself in their comments, and I kept in mind, and most of them, they were saying about my passion, my determination, how I inspire them, and I think, my biggest asset is to reach out people, to touch their heart. And I think even my contributor, because most of them I've never met them.
Mhm.
They work for me, but I've never met them.
I want to say for the record that there were over a dozen of these compliments. I just and I randomly selected 3,
Okay.
right? And so it's not like I look for the best or I look for a
Okay.
particular type. And
Mhm.
so I had to read them when you mentioned the determination to succeed. We're gonna take a break in a minute or so, but I want to. You wear many hats, Alizé. You're an
Yeah.
artist, dancer, entrepreneur, founder and editor in chief of Alizé La Vie magazine, which we're going to talk a lot about in a few minutes. From which of these, from which of these do you draw your most, your greatest satisfaction?
Artist as a dancer. I
Artist.
love, yes, I love dancing. I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. I remember my parents used to put some money, invite people, and people they were asking me to dance, and they were putting some money on the floor, and I was only 3 years old. Yes,
Really?
yes, and I'm a I mean, without bragging, I'm a good dancer, and I grew up like that. This is my passion, my first passion, and this is the most I think today. Even though I've been doing a lot of things, but this is my first passion, and it will always be.
We're going to take a break, but one last question before the break. How does freedom, the concept of freedom, relate to you and your dancing?
How? When you dance, like and you are passionate about that, like it's like your body express itself, and it's just like you feel free, So and when you dance and you can convey that to people, they can see that. When I dance, people they always say to me like, I'm such a great dancer, and they can feel it, and I bring some good vibes, and that's a way for me to express, my talent, and to share that with people. And I always say like, when I'm on stage, I sell dream. People when they see me like dancing, I'm a completely different person. But for me, it's a way to sell a dream to people, and they can just look, but they can touch.
Let's take a break. We are back with the lovely Alizé. Alizé, how do you keep up and where do you draw your strength?
I think my strengths come from God,
Hmm.
simply because I'm a strong believer of God, and I know He's giving me the strength every day. Every day when I wake up, I always say thank you, and I truly think He's watching over me, because coming to this country, I didn't know anyone. No, I came here 5 years ago with my suitcase, not knowing no family, no friends. Everything could happen to me, and he ended up in a way today. I know so much people. I'm very popular at some point, and when I think about when I look back, I'm like, wow, this is incredible, because anything could happen to me. So I could find meet bad people or dishonest people, but praying every day, and being far from my family, it just I think God was with me and is still with me for everything I do.
Do you think to some degree the fact that you were here alone
Mm.
was an extra push and
Yes, yes, because definitely when you are alone, with no family, no friends, and you realize, that you have to anyway to make things happen. You can, you have to believe like something good will happen, but for that you still have to work, to be focused on yourself and take care of yourself. So and that gives you strength to be even stronger every day, because life is not easy, especially in America. So when you work a lot, most of people here have 2 3 jobs, trying to make a life, and pay their bills, and it's still difficult. And in my case, it has been very hard. Christmas, Thanksgiving, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving in French Guiana, even in France. But here I see all the enthusiasm. People, they are so excited, being together, because it's like a reunion with family. And I've never had the chance to even share that with my family. And Christmas was very, very hard, So I already spent some Christmas by myself, And that's the time, you should not be by yourself. But, you know, I didn't have choice. and that was very hard because I truly felt I was with that family at this time. And every time, especially Christmas time, is always a very difficult time for me because my family is not there. And the first years here, I was very, very difficult because it's not, I could afford to go back home because it was more expensive, very expensive for me, and I have to work hard. And the first time, I went back home to celebrate Christmas, it was in 2011. And yes, and that was very meaningful for me because that was the first time I went back home, after, being in this country for so long, because before that I was in Czech Republic and I have a chance to go back for Christmas, and I truly enjoyed that. And that's the way you realize, every little things, where you might complain, and being in this country, like you realize, like, finally, these little things are very important because, with no family, friends, family, you understand what it means, when you are far from your families,
In the chat room, G asked, "Do you specialize in any particular style of dance? Which do you prefer and why?"
African dance. I love African dance. I don't know. It's the spirit. It's just like, I feel like, I'm someone else. So, and I enjoy dancing. The move. So even your body when it moves, it's just like, it's just a real pleasure. To embrace everything. So, and I don't know. It's like, I feel connected to my ancestor. It's just like, for me, it's the best way. African dance is just, I don't know, it's a way for me to reconnect with my ancestors and with my roots. And that's the style I really love dancing, So, of course, I dance all other music, soca, so zouk, which is very common from West Indies, but I really love African music.
You said you studied all kinds of dance. Did you study ballet as well?
Not that much samba. I did some samba, modern dance, but more specialized in African dance.
Growing up, what was your opinion of African dance?
I don't know. I mean, it's just like it has always been a passion. Since I was not a baby, but 2 years old, I was already dancing. So, and once I heard African dance, it's just like it was obvious for me. I have to dance that. So there was, I don't know. It's just like
you just love it.
Yes, it was. I was meant to be for dancing African dance. I don't know.
Describe the first time you had to dance a huge role. What were you nervous?
Not really. I don't know. It's just like I think I think it's a gift. So no matter how long I don't dance for a long time, just I hear the music and it's just like the music comes inside my body. I don't know. It's just like and after I forget everything. No, the first time it's like it was natural. So I came on stage and I started dancing. People, they were just getting crazy, and I remember I went to Guadeloupe and I toured by myself. I was supposed to be with other dancers, and finally they couldn't make it. And I toured in different cities. I was by myself and in front of a lot of people. And I was only maybe at this time, maybe 18 years old, something like that. And I was not afraid, So I think, when you are passionate and when you overcome your fear, and nothing can stop you doing whatever you want, and it doesn't matter how many people are there. It's just like you go for it, and you go with the flow.
For the salsa dancer said, "Hi, my Alizé," and 40 again said, "Question for my cousin." Well, they didn't. Okay. Sorry about that. 40 asked, "What about salsa?"
Yes, I know how to dance salsa. I'm a good dancer for salsa as well. And in French Ghana, we have Brazilian people, so I dance samba as well. So I danced samba for many years. Yes. And salsa I did. for many years, but of course, finally I was more into African dance. But it's easy for me to want to go back, so to any kind of dance, especially salsa, because I truly think it's about like once you, I don't know, I feel like I was born to dance, so I'm
I
no
was
matter
born to
what kind of
dance. I like
dance,
that.
so yeah, I was born to dance, so and it doesn't matter the age, I'm almost 40 years old and. I dance the same way when I was 2 years old, so I don't care. Once, I go to the, even in the club, so I can dance all night without drinking anything, just dancing. I'm like a bad way, and if so I remember when I was hanging out with my friends, I was telling them, okay, if you come with me, don't tell me I want to go back home because once you come with me, you will have to stay until the end. That's it.
I wish we could show our audience a few of your moves. What advice do you have for young dancers?
For young dancer, what advice? I would say if you truly want to dance or become a dancer, just follow your heart, so and keep it up. Work on your talents. You might be a good dancer, but it's not enough. You still have to work on that to master your art and to become even bigger. Because sometimes you have some talents, but you still have to develop to your skills and to get a certain level. But I would say like do what you love, and if you are good at what you are doing, so there's no way. I mean, especially if in dance, so you can become a great dancer and do it with passion, so and put all your passion, and and go with the flow, but especially follow your heart, so don't let anyone tell you, so if you want to be a dancer, even to do that, like to make a living with that, go for that, so don't let anyone discourage you, because I remember when I was younger, so I wanted already to become an artist, but of course my parents wanted me to have a great education. I went to school, I got a master's, everything, but it has never prevented me from dancing. I've been a great human resources manager, working in different big companies, and at the same time, my second job was a dancer. So, never limit to one thing. Try to always be um, multitasking. So that's very important. Because people tend to think like once you do one thing, you have to do with only these things. It's good to try different things and to enjoy all of them, and doesn't mean like because for example today I do so many things, but I'm still focused on of course on what I'm doing, but it doesn't prevent me from doing other things.
Describe for us your magazine, Alizé La Vie.
So Alizé, so of course Alizé La Vie come from my names, Alizé, and in French Alizé means the wind of Alizé, so it means that where the wind brings you, you go with the flow. It's a tropical wind. I know here in America, when I say Alizé, I always refer my name like the drink, and it's funny because it's a French name, and in France we don't have the drink Alizé. It doesn't exist. It's only in America. So, but I like to say like oh, my name is Alizé, so like the drink, because whenever I pronounce my name, they don't really understand at the first place because with my accent. So I always say like like the drink, and they say, oh, like the drink. Oh, I love Alizé. And you have different flavor. And la vie is means life. La vie is French, and because Alizé La Vie was born from a failure, by the way, because I was working for a company before, and they were taking advantage of me, my knowledge, and finally one day I decided to leave, and I thought about what I'm gonna do for my future, and I decided to create my company. And Alizé La Vie, it was more about like thinking about what can I do to make a difference in the world. and to have an impact in people's life. And I say, Alizé, why not? And La Vie, because it's all about life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I got inspired by my own life. And finally, I thought about this concept, having different people with a different culture from different countries being together in a international platform, sharing their life story so that people can get inspired for that. And most importantly, like people can feel they can be true to themselves. They don't have to lie. They just have to tell their story in a way people they can get inspired and share that with others.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way Alizé was born. And I think I didn't invent something very special, but the way how I tried to convey the message, I think that stood out, you know, with the others magazine. And one thing I learned from, you know, by creating Alice et la Vie, I love this French quote from François Rabelais: "The half of the world doesn't know how the rest of the world live."
Mm-hmm.
And I truly think if today my magazine have so much success, I would say it's because people they are very curious. They don't know about what's going on in Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know sometimes, you know, even in America, they don't know what's going on in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was very important to share that, you know, so that people they can get connected with that and understand why we might be different and learn from that.
What was your first issue like? You remember?
My first,
First issue on the magazine.
oh yes, it was in February 2013. I was so surprised because when my magazine was released, I got so much like it was kind of buzz, like you know, everyone was like you know, I asking where this magazine came from, like it was like it's like alien, and I got so much great feedback. People were just like you know chasing me, like you know, and they couldn't believe I was the founder. And actually, my first issue, I was the only one who wrote down, did all the article, translate in French, in English,
Wow.
and two 280 pages. I remember perfectly. I worked for 1 month and a half, you know, working on this magazine, just like that, with my inspiration, contacted people, asking them about their life, you know, and they were very funny, you know, because they didn't have any historic history about me. It's just they, you know, they went with the flow and accepted to respond to my question, and that's the way I started my magazine, and that was unbelievable. But I was kind of at the same time very surprised, and I didn't expect that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I was like coming from you know the shadow, and all of a sudden the shine, the yes, I was shining just like that, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just amazing.
Looking back, what would you do different in your approach to launching Alizé La Vie?
What I would have done
Looking
differently.
back, what would you do? What would you do different in your approach to launching Alizé La Vie?
I think if I don't think I will change anything. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
Because it came from my heart. When I launched the magazine, I didn't think about any strategy, any marketing policy, and I just follow my heart. I reach people and I just say, okay, I'm gonna do it. You know, so I'm gonna share their stories, and I don't. I mean, there's nothing to restart. I
To
mean,
change.
to
What
change.
what valuable lesson did you learn?
I learned from that, like you know, how I mean, I would say for myself, I learn from people, you know, and until now, I learn every day with my magazine because I feel more connected with people, and I understood what it means, you know, some values, you know, and what people sometimes, you know, can overcome, you know, and I felt at some point I wasn't alone. Other people has the same story than me, and that's the way, like, I felt like, you know, um, not so different compared to other people. Some people has the same story than me in different ways, but we are similar, you know. Being from coming from another country, especially in America, especially in New York, where we have so many people from different countries, and I think, you know, we are similar because if I have to ask them some question about, you know, how um, they survive, or you know, how they overcome their obstacles, I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of common points, because you know, at the end of the day, you know, we have to we we have to share the same passion and the same, you know, strengths being in another country. And most of them, sometimes they are not their family, they are with their families. So actually, I mean, this magazine, honestly, it's not because it's mine. I just, you know, learned so many things about people, and it helped me to understand what life is really about. Like, you know, so values, you know, so differences, you know, so and learning, you know. So sometimes, you know, I was so touched. Sometimes I was crying. Sometimes, you know, so about people's stories, you know, because it was so hard, and I realized, like, you know, my problems, you know, are nothing compared to others people, you
Others.
know. So I still have a house, apartment. I still have like a great family, a lovely family, and I still have some talent doing what I love the most, you know. So and not everyone can do it, you know. So I made the choice to do what I love, and I'm good at what I'm doing, and I thanks God for that. But at the same time, you know, I want to help people by doing what I've been doing.
Where did this caring for people come from, and at what age did you start noticing it?
Oh, since an early age, I don't know. It's just like, you know, I always been passionate about helping people. It's like, you know, it was my mission, you know. So and it's still my mission, you know.
Hmm.
I did so many things, you know, for free, not thinking about money, just for my heart. And I'm a strong believer, thinking like, you know, the more you give in your life, the more you receive blessing. That it's not about money. You know, even when I came to this country, I did so many things, you know, not getting paid, and I learned from that.
Hmm.
And today, you know, I'm still struggling at some point, even though I have a successful magazine, but I did not reach the level I want. But one thing I understood, you know, today I make less money, but I'm happier than ever.
I love that.
You know, so it's just showing you, like, you know, it's not about money. It's how you make a difference in people's lives, and how you decide to be happy. And it's not about money. And believe me, like, you know, I can tell you, you know, when I say, like, you know, I still, you know, have a lot of challenges, and one of them is especially finances, because, you know, so I made the choice to create my company. So I become an entrepreneur, and being an entrepreneur, it's not like, you know, you have your money every week, you know, so you have to look for that, you know.
Mm.
So and this means, you know, you have to not to be afraid of, you know, taking some risk, and you know, so and look for the money, and it's like a job, like a full-time job, you know. So and you have to be able to go for that, because otherwise you're gonna fall, you know. So and I truly think that's, you know, you need to have like the mental and, you know, the abilities to do it. Not everyone can do it,
What
because
what would what would either of your parents say about your accomplishments? What you have been able to accomplish coming here?
you know, I was rewarded at the United Nations in August, you know, from all my accomplishments, my magazine, my background, you know. So and my father said, you know, he made a public statement. He said, like, you know, I've always known my daughter will do great things, because she always been like very focused, and she wanted to do something. She has always been different, and I always been very ambitious. So for them today, they are not very surprised, you know. So it's like, you know, the normal continuation about who I am, and they they expect from me the best, you know. So today they know at some point, like, you know, I didn't reach the level where I want to be, but I know I will, and no matter how long it's gonna take, but I would put everything to make it, happen. I'm already proud of what I've been doing, but it's not enough. 5 years ago, when I came to this country, I got an interview, and they were asking me, "How do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I was saying at this time, I didn't know exactly what would be my future, and I said, I see myself having my own company and make a difference in the world.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because the next question I was going to ask you is how has your work developed since you began the magazine? And how do you see it evolving in the next 5 years?
So the magazine, as I said before, it started from, just from an idea for my heart, And today, of course, the magazine has more recognition, but what you see is all coming from all my money, and I'm very proud of what I've been doing. But it's kind of hard because you can have the most beautiful magazine, but at some point, if you don't generate money, you still have to find a way to make it profitable. You understand? And for that, you have to rethink about things more having a business approach, not like a creative, not being like a artist. And I think when I started my magazine, I was more like in a creative way approach, more than business approach. And that's very important to understand. Like when you run a business, if you can be talented, but if you don't know how to promote yourself and to market yourself, that might be like a big issue, for the future. And I got to the point when, that I have to rethink about, my strategy, my team production, people who have been working with me, and to delegate as well, because, you can be successful, but you still need to have like a strong team to support you, to lift you up, because at some point success needs to be shared, so. And I'm a leader. I'm sure about that, in terms of I was able to federate people from different countries, and that's a quality I actually have. But at the same time, if I want my business be successful, I have to make things differently. And when I say things differently, it means by building a strong team with a partner, or a contributor, and in a way we can grow up together. We can grow together, and this is where I am now. I have people working with me, working for me, and they believe in me. And when we talk about how I see myself in 5 years, I see myself very big in terms, because I've been doing so many things in 1 year and a half with not that much money. So this means I can do even better. And I think right now I will say I'm 30% of my full potential. So by having more money, I think my team and myself will be able to do great things. So, and I always want the best. So this is how I challenge myself. I don't satisfy myself with little. So I always dream big, but I just don't dream. I just don't dream. I live my dreams.
You live your dreams.
Yes. In other words, if I think I need to get to the top, I will get to the top, and I will put everything in my power to make it happen. And that's the way I am. I like to challenge myself, and I'm a bad loser. So, and no, actually, it's not about being rich. It's more about growing with my team, and to think about how we're starting together. I have one of my partners. She's in Paris right now. Her name is Anaïs, and this lady, she's wonderful. And we met. She saw one of interview of me, and she was like, "Wow." She felt a connection with me, and we started talking, and she's a coach as well, and she learned me at some point, like, that no matter what, so the way I touch people, that's gonna be would be my biggest quality. And now she became my right hand,
Mm-hmm.
and we have been stronger every day because it's so hard. Because even though we grow, in a good way, but it's still hard. And having her by my side is the most beautiful thing I have never had, because it's a blessing for me. And I don't know, it seems like, even though, I have some obstacles, but I still find people very good, and who are there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about Anaïs, she's really the one who opened my, who brings out more things about who I am, and giving me the strength to even go further than this. And she advised me. And today, so I just came back from a trip from French Guiana for almost 3 weeks, and I surprised myself to speak to people, to be a speaker, like having a big conference with a lot of people, and I wasn't accustomed to that. And I talked to them the same way I talk to you, and everyone was like, "Wow," So I reached their heart, and I think like my biggest asset today is to just to be natural and to inspire people in a way, like they understand, where I come from and how I get to this level today.
I want to take a break, but let me go to the chat room for a second. It's been lighting up. 30, 40 salsa dancer. Does she remember his cousin? And I take the RDV the next time I'll go to New York. We go to dance salsa.
Oh,
That's 40 saying that.
why not?
And Philippa said, she reminds me of the late great Joseph Campbell. Follow your bliss, follow your bliss. I applaud her courage in following her heart. 40 salsa dancer said, I would like to say her something, but when she comes in French Guyana, she don't tell me anything. And G said, your magazine is very classy and different from anything I've ever seen online. I can see why the company you left was taking advantage of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And 40 said the last question, why she always laugh like that? LOL. Well, let's take a quick break.
It's less funny. you know.
We are back with the lovely Alizé. What is your favorite aspect of being editor in chief of this magazine?
My favorite is just when I ask people, question, and I love to really get into them, So it's not just about asking questions, but I try to understand their story. I try to put myself in their life, So and that's the way I get connected. What you need to know, most of people who have been featured in my magazine, I've never met them. So I just ask them to send me, their bio, and from that I got inspired, and I ask them some question. And some people tell me like, wow, the question I've been asking them, they have never thought about that. It's just like, they get. It's just like giving them like a reason to think about what, why did they reach this level, how did they come to this level, and that's come from my heart, because I try to identify themselves, and to know their fear, why they have been successful, and why they didn't make it too, so.
Were there days when you didn't feel like doing what you do, and on those days, what got you out of that mindset?
when I have this day when I didn't feel that well.
Like you didn't feel like doing what you do with the magazine, or and on those days, what got you out of that mindset?
My family,
Your family.
yes, because I come from a family. My family, they are not. I mean, they are just regular people. And my mother, especially I think about my mother, who has a lot of issue with her health, and she made so much sacrifice for us. And whenever I do something, I always thinking about to find a way to secure my family, their comfort, because I want I don't want to hear anymore like I can do things because I don't have the money. I don't want to feel like I can bring my mother here because she can afford to come to visit me. That's I truly think what I've been doing. It's not just for me. It's more for my family first.
I want to ask you a question on that note, because in all my autobiographies I've read, and conversations I've had with successful people, there seemed to be a common thread, and that is there is a something, whatever this something is, that drives them or pulls them. Something in their life. Either it was a tragedy, someone had said they wouldn't make it, they can't make it, something, or they like in your case, you want to be in a position to always be able to provide for your mother. And you've dropped some pearls of wisdom here tonight. So I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think to achieve success or to go beyond the norm, something like that is necessary? To have something that drives you?
I don't. It depends on people, but in my case, I need. I mean, yes, I truly think it depends on people because some people they will determine success in different way. So people might think they. I mean, some people they will think they are successful just because they got a very nice job. And I'm not saying it's not bad. It's bad, but just like it depends where you put yourself. As a successful person. I can already say I'm very I can say I'm very yes successful. I have a great education. I got a very nice job in my life. I travel the world. I've been touring the world. But I still think it's not enough. So some people they would tell you yes, but what she's looking for. So and my response would be like I want first to secure my family in terms like, I want, they enjoy life. But if it means I have to sacrifice myself, which is the case, I will. So, but I don't think it has to be this way, but my drive is to be successful, especially because I want to be able to afford, to be able to give to my parents, especially now they are getting older, a chance to enjoy life. I'm not saying they didn't enjoy life, but it has been a very difficult for my family to support, especially my parents to support us financially. So I have to stop going to school at some point, like to go to work, to support my brothers and sisters. And I don't know. It seems like I have to keep it up like that. I'm the oldest. So it's like a mission for me to make sure like my family is is in good condition. So
How in your opinion, being an entrepreneur, a journalist, and the various hats you wear have um, help you grow as a woman, as a black woman?
how? I think for me it was very important, as a black woman, so because I'm not too much about racism issues, but for me that was my pride to think like, okay, I'm a black woman, I can do as better as white people, whatever. I never put in my mind like because I'm black, I'm gonna be inferior or under any white people. You understand? And for me, it was very important, like to stand out, as a black woman and be proud of myself and not just be pretty or for me being pretty is not enough. and you have to be you have to have something like that makes you stand out, like because beauty is one thing, but you have to have the beauty inside as well too. And I think in my case I was blessed. I think I received some gift from God, but at the same time so I never take that granted. I have to work hard for anything I have in my life. And this helped me to grow and to show people like you can be whatever you want. You don't have to be like in a box. So and I remember I was a human resource manager, talking to people, and just during the night going to a club dancing, like as a dancer. So and he has and that's something he has never had to change my life. I stay true to myself. It doesn't mean because today I'm an editor in chief I have to be like to change my lifestyle. So for me it's very important to stay true to yourself, to stay genuine. And it's very, I mean, I love to do all of what I've been doing. So I love to be an editor in chief, I love to be like artist, I love to be a dancer, I love to be a human resources manager. I love all of this. So because it's good to have different talents and express yourself in different fields. And that's the way you can show like your power as well too. I guess so I don't say like I like power, but I like to feel like people they appreciate me for who I am and for what I do, and give me credit for that. So
When you speak of dance and being an artist, they're both expressions of beauty. And when I think of beauty, you're quite fashionable from what I've seen and so on. Where would you say this love affair with fashion came from? And who introduced you to your sense of style?
I think my mother. My
Ah,
mother, she's very fashionable woman.
uh-huh.
She's 54 years old, but if you see her, she looks like my sister, my big sister. I think she always show us like I mean, you might be like a married woman and have children, but you still have to keep it up with your shape and always being like very comfortable with who you are as a woman. And you know be just take care of yourself. Don't let yourself go. So, and I'm very proud of my mother. And today I can see myself nothing like you know a lot of people always say to me, oh, you look younger, but because I work on myself, that's very important.
Mm.
The image, so that's very important too. And no matter what you do, that's the first reflection that people they have. So of course, it's not just about your physical appearance, but that plays a lot for everything you do in your life. You see, I have a magazine. I mean, I can be like, I have to be at some point fashionable,
Yes.
because that's the image, for what I've been working for, and the image I want to convey to people.
How would you describe your personal style?
Oh, I'm very simple, So when I have to go out, of course, I have to, it's fashion, So you still have to, you're gonna people they're gonna shoot you, So you have to make some effort. But I always try to be simple, So I like to dress up, not too much at some point, but classy, sophisticated. But I think that's come from, where I come from, France. I love elegance, sophistication, class, and yes, that's very important. You don't have to do too much, because beauty is not about how much things you wear or the brand you're gonna wear. It's how you wear it, and that's make a big difference. It doesn't, sometimes I don't have to buy like a very expensive clothes, and I would look very great, like anyone who's gonna buy something very expensive. It's really how you
Carry yourself.
yes.
Let's take a break. We are back with the lovely Alizé. Alizé, what has been the most difficult thing about being an entrepreneur?
The most difficult thing is like the fear not to have enough money to keep it up with your bills and not to be able to keep it up with what you do, like, but not to then to pay your employees, So, I mean, the fear to fail.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that's for me. That's the biggest thing when you are an entrepreneur, like, because you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's going to be tomorrow. So, and today it might be great, tomorrow it might not. So, this is the big risk you take as an entrepreneur, because you don't know what to expect, but you still have to make sure, so you're going to overcome all the obstacles. So yes.
Where do you draw your inspirations?
Where do I do? So
Huh?
where? At this point, like, my inspiration about my company. I think for me, I don't have anyone to say, like, I get inspired by that, but my inspiration, I think it's just come from myself.
For yourself. That's fine.
Because,
Claim it.
Yes, because, this is the biggest challenge of my life, being an entrepreneur. Before, I used to be good at everything I've been doing. So, and I want to show to myself, like, I can do it no matter what, no matter sacrifice I will do, but I know I will make it. And because I know who I am, I'm a fighter, and I know it's, especially in the adversity, I become, stronger and the most efficient. So my inspiration is all my life, my experience, and I want to overcome this challenge, and I know I will. And I truly think I'm already halfway. So it's only 1 year and a half. So I've been doing a lot. So I know, and I think it's the same for every entrepreneur. The main issue is money. So, but money, it might be an issue, but at some point, like, when you work hard and you make things happen, money will come no matter what.
Come. I agree. What still surprises you about yourself as an entrepreneur?
My perseverance and determination. Yes, sometimes it's so hard. Sometimes it happened to me. I cry. Sometimes I cry because because it's so hard. I mean, people need not to understand. Being an entrepreneur is just like it's not a piece of cake. Huh?
It is tough.
It's tough.
It's very tough.
So and the transition is very difficult. Because I used to have a lot of money, and now, I mean, my lifestyle is completely different because I'm making the sacrifice to make my company work out,
Mm-hmm.
So, and you have to adjust, to deprive yourself, So, and, but it's for the good reason. But being an entrepreneur, believe me, it takes a lot of courage. And I have the courage. But still sometimes, so I don't give up for sure. But sometimes it's not about having doubt, but you get, I mean, you kind of down, because, sometimes you have some expectation. So sometimes, it doesn't work out the way it should be. And things make you slow down. And sometimes, so you have deadline, you don't fit your deadline. So yes, so all of this makes you stronger. And I really think since I've been an entrepreneur, it really makes me made me very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And but at the same time very powerful in terms of, like, now it's easy for me, like, to, before I used to be more naive, but now I don't have any problem to say if something is wrong, to say no, I can't anymore, or I will stop with that. Even with my people, if they are not good at what they have been doing, I don't have any problem to say, like, we can work anymore together.
What is one thing about you most people do not know that might surprise them?
Oh, I think when I get upset in terms of like, so I think I'm like a sweetheart, but at the same time, so especially if you betray me, or if you did something bad to me, or I can be very harsh in terms of like, so I would be like numb if I have to make a decision. I will not get back to that. So yes.
When are you most happy?
What?
When are you most happy?
Whenever I release my magazine, it's like Jesus Christ. When he was like, he has to make a sacrifice for us. I feel the same way. Whenever I finish a magazine, I just feel thank you God. I made it. Like it's like it's such a liberation. Like I feel like I made so much sacrifice. So, and it's true. So and but I was proud of me. And whenever I finish, I always cry because you can even imagine the time, the how many times and nights I never sleep. So and when I finish, I'm like, I made it. Finally I made it, and that's such a release, and I feel so great and so happy about that. That's why I feel like that's the most the greatest accomplishment.
What kind of music calms you down?
What kind of
Music calms you down.
I like classic, yes.
Uh-huh.
I like love song, yes.
Uh-huh.
Because love is very important in life, and this is one of the sacrifice I've been making now, working so hard, like not thinking about my personal life, and I think like love, is happiness as well, and it's good to have like someone you can share your fear, your happiness, your sadness, so, and I love song.
What are you most proud of?
Oh, what my rewards, my awards at the United Nations. Yes.
Your what?
My award?
Award?
Yes, at the United Nations.
Tell us a little bit about that, just as quickly as possible.
I've been selected, based on my journey about my accomplishment between very big people, and I was the youngest, and we are 8 people, and from diplomat, reporter, and it was very touching for me because I've never expected one day I would have been on stage at the United Nations receiving an award for my job, for my magazine, and for all my accomplishments.
That's awesome.
Yes, based on the fact like I was able to federate, so many culture in the same platform.
Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yes.
With all your accomplishments, what still surprises you about yourself?
I would say like this fire I have into myself.
Fire.
Like my passion, like I've never. I knew I was always passionate, but I've never known how far I could be passionate. So I realized myself like sometimes I got so passionate, especially about my magazine. The magazine from my magazine is like my baby. Like I'm very protective, and I'm very focused, and I don't let anyone try to drag me down. And I push very hard, and my passion sometimes gets very crazy, and that's something very surprising about me. And one of the things I've never known I could even write about people like that. Can you believe when I was younger I hate writing? I hated writing, and now not only I write about people's story, but I write in English and French. And I'm very surprised about myself that when I write first in English before French. So that's very amazing because
That's amazing.
English is not my first language. And whenever I do things, no matter what, I start in English. And after I translate in French, which is not so common. It should be the contrary. But I dream in English. I think in English. So I guess that's a process when they say like you become fluent, so bilingual. But I'm very surprised, and I have more pleasure to read in English than French.
Have we seen the best of Alizé?
Not yet.
If you could go back in time, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
16 years? I don't know. I enjoy every single step of my life. When I was younger, oh yes, I was like the queen of like club. Okay, oh my goodness, I love dancing. I was like, I was closing every club. Honestly, actually, I think when I think about everything and I look back, I mean, I had a good life, and
A
I
good
still
life.
have a good life. So I never had any problem with my parents. I was a good student. They gave me freedoms, and I gave them back. And I keep doing that, and I love life. So if I have to die I have to die today, I could go without any regrets.
You have traveled a lot. If you could if you could go to a place, a special place, your favorite place, with a book, your favorite drink, and your favorite music, where would this place be? What book will you be reading? What drink will it be? And what will you be listening to?
I think it will be Brazil.
Brazil.
Yes, because Brazil for me is like I don't know. I love the people. I love the people. I love the food, and
Come up a little closer to the mic. Yeah.
yes, I love the people. I love the food, and just people over there. They are very Christian too,
Uh-huh.
and I love the mixture. So of everyone there. And I would be on the beach, relaxing. Having my book, and I have a book right now I'm reading about relationship, how to understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I will be there, like, so having a cup of drink, like, and ice cream,
Ice cream. That's one of your secret
and then sing
pleasures.
on the sing on the beach, they call it Copacabana,
Uh-huh.
Dancing, like, so having fun, just simple things, so.
The last question.
Hmm.
What what makes you laugh out loud?
What's making me laugh?
Yes, what makes you laugh out loud?
I always smile. I always laugh. Well, I mean, no, I don't know. I mean, what? I don't really know because I always smile. I always laugh
What makes you that, laugh very loudly?
loudly. Uh, I don't know actually. I guess like if someone is funny. I mean,
Someone scream?
a funny guy. If he has a good humor, we say humor in English, yes.
Oh, well, I'm always amazed when time creeps up on us and, the hour and a half just goes. But I have to say thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
And you're welcome. You've given us so many pearls of wisdom. One of the things that stood out for me is something you said earlier: how you make a difference in people's lives, how you choose to be happy. I love that. And then you spoke about reaching people's hearts. And oh, this is it. This is my all-time favorite. Prove to myself that I can. I know I'll make it because I am because I have courage, because I'm courageous, right? In I am and in adversity I become stronger, right? I sort of like butcher that up, but it I was trying to write as fast as I could, but the fact that you become stronger in adversity, that's a very profound statement and a profound message. And I love that attitude. So thank you so much for sharing your time with
Thank
us.
you.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Oh yes, I would like to say. I mean, this is what I always say, like, don't just dream, live your dream, and live your life to the fullest, because we have one life. And believe in yourself, be confident in what you do, and you will be successful in what you do. But first, believe in yourself and believe in God. That's very important as well.
I love that. I love that. This is Selwyn Collins saying good night to all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Fear not what fear whispers to you, fear your obedience to it. Have a good night.
Good evening from New York. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. Thank you for joining us this evening. CWS is about having conversations with